The Tigers take on the Cards, 1:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The St. Louis Cardinals are minus 130, totals 9.5. The Detroit Tigers are plus $110 for some money line cash. And if you like them on the run line, they're minus 160, catching the 1.5. Tark Skubal for Detroit, John Lester for St. Louis. Now, real quick here, guys, we're coming off a nice 3-2 day in my premium sports picks on BrockPage.com yesterday. And that's going to put us at 7-0 in our last 7 Major League Baseball tier package picks on that very same site. Now, the good news is we have another Major League Baseball tier package pick going off here this evening. We also have some college football starting here this week, so be on the lookout for some premium college football picks on my BrockPage.com website as well. We currently have over 850 members who are signed up and active on my site. And if you want to see which one of these free YouTube picks on my channel that I'm actually betting on personally, there's only one way to do that, and that's on my website. And once again, that's BrockPage.com. Now, John Lester has thrown just 16 innings with his new ball club in St. Louis. He's got a 6.75 ERA and a 1.75 whip. The Cardinals have also lost 5 out of their last 7 ball games, and they average only 3.8 runs a game at Busch Stadium. Now, they're taking on a Tigers club who won 3 out of their last 4 themselves, and that includes a 4-3 victory over St. Louis just yesterday. The Tigers also have a winning record in their interleague contests, and they've got Tark Skubal on the mound here today, who's got himself 8 wins thus far in the year. Now, even more impressive, the lefty Skubal has struck out 134 batters. And when it comes to the total in this one, Detroit's last 4 straight road games all stayed under the line. St. Louis is also 7-3 to the under in their last 10 themselves, 5-2 to the under in their last 7 at Busch Stadium. I'm going to lean toward the Detroit Tigers plus $110 and the under 9.5 runs. Next ball game, Royals, Astros, 2:10 p.m. Eastern start time. The Houston Astros are minus 240, totals 8 flat. Lance McCullers for Houston, Mike Minor for Kansas City. Now, Minor's got 11 losses thus far in the season, along with a 5.34 ERA. Despite a really good stretch of games recently for Kansas City, they still play their worst baseball on the road. Kansas City's won just 24 out of 62 road games, and that's good for just 38% in that particular category. The Royals are in the bottom 10 in the league in runs allowed per contest. They're also walking nearly 5 batters a game when they travel. They're taking on a first-place Houston club who won 4 out of their last 6 ball games, and they lead the league in scoring. Yuli Gurriel's batting .317, which is 4th in the majors. Meanwhile, Yordan Alvarez is 8th in the bigs in RBI with 85 of them. So, needless to say, this Astros lineup is also leading the majors in hits on average per game. Now, they have Lance McCullers on the mound here today, who's 10-4 with a 3.21 ERA, along with 144 strikeouts. And when it comes to the total in this one, 3 out of Houston's last 5 contests at Minute Maid Park got over the line. Meanwhile, they're also 36-29 to the over in all of their games at home for the entire year. I'm going to lean toward the Houston Astros minus 1.5 and the over 8 runs. Next ball game, Rockies Cubs game 1. And that's going to be a 2:20 p.m. Eastern first pitch in game 1 of the doubleheader. The Colorado Rockies are minus 145, number 6.5. German Marquez for Colorado. Zach Davies for Chicago. And despite a handful of rough outings for Davies this year, the righty still struck out 96 batters thus far. Now, the Cubs have won 3 out of their last 6 ball games, with one of those victories coming against Colorado just a few days ago. Chicago still has a winning home record at Wrigley Field, and they're led by Javi Baez, who's hit 24 home runs and knocked in 69. Now, they're taking on a Rockies club who's on a 2-game losing streak, and they still have the fewest road wins in all of the majors. Colorado's currently 14-46 straight up when traveling, and that's good for just 23% in that category. Colorado's dead last in the majors in road hits, and they're also scoring only 3.1 runs a game when they bat first. Now, total-wise, 6 out of Colorado's last 10 ball games fell under the line. They also went 60% to the under in their last 10 meetings with Chicago. I'm going to lean toward the Chicago Cubs plus $1.25 and the under 7 runs in Game 1 of the doubleheader. Next ball game, Angels, Orioles, 7:05 Eastern start time. The LA Angels are they're minus 1.5. Of course they're minus 1.5. I forgot what they are. I think they're like minus $2. Total's 9.5. Shohei Ohtani's on the bump for the Angels. Jorge Lopez for Baltimore. Now Lopez is a dismal 3-14 on the year, 6.30 ERA and a 1.67 WHIP. The last place Orioles have the worst record in baseball, and they give up more runs per contest than any other team in the game. The O's also allow more hits per contest than any other team in the game as well. They're taking on an Angels club who's in the top 10 in striking batters out on the road. Shohei Ohtani's 8-1 on the bump with a 2.79 ERA and a 1.06 WHIP. The righty has struck out 120 batters in just 100 innings of work. Meanwhile, offensively, Show is a league-leading, he's hit a league-leading 40 home runs, and he also knocked in 88. Now, David Fletcher, he's 17th in the league with a 298 batting average himself. This Angels lineup is in the top 10 in hits on average per game, and they strike out less than 8.5 times per contest at the plate. Now, total-wise, 6 out of LA's last 10 meetings with Baltimore did get over the line. Meanwhile, the O's went 60% to the over in their last 10 outings themselves. I'm going to lean toward the LA Angels minus 1.5 and the over 9.5 runs. Next matchup, Rays, Phillies, 7:05 East. Philadelphia's minus 130, numbers 8.5. Zach Wheeler for Philadelphia, Ryan Yarbrough for Tampa Bay. Now, Yarbrough's 7-4 with a 1.17 WHIP, along with 101 strikeouts. The first place Rays are 30 games above 500, and they also got the job done in 7 out of their last 8 contests. Tampa Bay is also leading the league in road scoring. Brandon Lau's he's 7th in the league with 29 home runs. Meanwhile, Austin Meadows is 4th in the game with 88 RBI. Now, they're taking on a Phillies squad who lost 7 out of their last 10 ball games. The Titans are also in the bottom 10 in hits on average per game. And despite the success of Zach Wheeler all season long, this Philly lineup is in the bottom 10 in home scoring. Now, total-wise, Philadelphia is 10-6 to the over in their last 16 interleague games. Meanwhile, Tampa's 40-22 to the over when they bat first. I'm going to lean toward the Tampa Bay Rays plus $1.10 and the over 8.5. Next ball game, Diamondbacks, Pirates, 7:05 Eastern Standard Time. Arizona's minus 130, totals 8.5. Gilbert for the D-backs, no confirmed starter yet for Pittsburgh. And as much as they've struggled this season, the Pirates do tend to play better baseball at PNC Park. This Pittsburgh lineup is in the top 10 in fewest home strikeouts at the plate. Brian Reynolds has hit 21 homers and knocked in 75. The outfielder is also 12th in the majors in 2 other categories, batting average and OPS. Reynolds is batting .303 with an OPS of .909. The Pirates are currently on a 2-game winning streak, and they also got the W in 4 out of their last 5. They're taking on a last-place D-backs club who has the fewest wins in the National League. Arizona's currently 43 games below 500, and they also have a .331 win percentage. The D-backs also have the second fewest road wins in baseball. They're winning only 23% of their ball games when they bat first. Now, total-wise, 6 out of Arizona's last 10 meetings with Pittsburgh did get over the line. They're also 32-28 to the over against National League opponents on the road. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh is 33-28 to the over in their contests at PNC Park. I'm going to lean toward the Pittsburgh Pirates plus $1.10 in the over 8.5. Next matchup, White Sox, Blue Jays, 7:07 Eastern start time. The Toronto Blue Jays are -120, totals 8.5. Robbie Ray for Toronto, Lucas Giolito for Chicago. Despite some really impressive numbers out of Giolito, the righty comes into today's contest with just a 9-9 record. Chicago's also lost 3 out of their last 4 ball games, and that includes a 2-1 loss to Toronto during that span. This White Sox lineup is in the bottom 10 in road strikeouts per game at the plate. They also have a losing road record when facing American League opponents. They're taking on a Toronto club who's in the top 3 in the majors in home hits. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. hit 36 home runs and knocked in 90. The Slugger's currently in the top 3 in homers, RBI, and OPS. Meanwhile, Marcus Semien hit 30 home runs and batted in 73. Toronto's in the top 5 in scoring on average per game. They also have Robbie Ray on the mound here today, who's 9-5 with a 2.79 ERA. The lefty struck out 178 batters and has a whip of just 1.03. Now, total-wise, Toronto's 32-29 to the over at home. Meanwhile, the White Sox are 34-28 to the over when they bat first. I'm going to lean toward the Toronto Blue Jays -120 and the over 8.5 runs. Next ball game, it is going to be Twins versus the Red Sox, 7:10 p.m. East. The Boston Red Sox are -165, totals 10.5. Nick Pivetta for Boston, Bailey Ober for Minnesota. Now, Ober's got just 1 win thus far in the season, along with a 4.38 ERA. The last place Twins are 17 games below 500. They also lost their last 4 straight. They're winning only 38% of their road games this year. They're taking on a Boston club who won 3 out of their last 4 themselves. And they also rank in the top 3 in the league in home scoring. Rafael Devers is second in the majors with 91 RBI, along with 29 home runs. The third baseman also has an OPS of 900 on the dot. Meanwhile, Xander Bogaerts is 14th in the league with a 3.02 batting average, along with an 8.84 OPS himself. And no real surprise here, this Red Sox club is also in the top 3 in home hits. They have Nick Pivetta on the mound here this evening. Now, Nick's having a pretty good year. He's 9-6 with 140 strikeouts and just 126 innings pitched. When it comes to the total in this one, 4 out of Boston's last 7 ball games at Fenway got over the line. Meanwhile, Minnesota's 44-19 to the over in their road games themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Boston Red Sox -1.5 and the over 10.5. Next matchup, little NL East action. I'm talking about the Nats versus the Marlins, 7:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Miami's -115 with the total at 7.5. Edward Cabrera for Miami, Josiah Gray for Washington. Now, Gray's got just 16 innings of work under his belt this year. Having said that, though, the righty is currently got himself a 2.81 ERA with a 1.06 whip. Gray's also fanned 18 batters in just 16 innings. Washington won 4 out of their last 6 ball games, and their lineup's in the top 3 in road hits. Juan Soto's 6th in the majors with a 9.54 OPS. The outfielder is also batting .303 at the plate, which is 11th in the bigs as well. Josh Bell's also hit 20 home runs for the season for Washington. And the Nationals, they're taking on a last-place Miami club who's on a 7-game losing streak themselves. Now, the Marlins also have a losing record within divisional play, along with a losing record at Lone Depot Park. This skittish Miami lineup is scoring only 3.9 runs a game. They also have Edward Cabrera on the bump here tonight, who's making his season debut. And when it comes to the total on this one, Miami's 13-12 to the over in their divisional home games. Meanwhile, Washington has seen 7 out of their last 10 ball games get over the line themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Washington Nationals plus $1 and the over 7.5. Next matchup, Giants-Mets, 7:10 East. The New York Mets are -120, totals 8.5. Taijuan Walker for New York, Johnny Cueto for San Francisco. Cueto's 7-6 on the year with a 3.89 ERA. The first place Giants are on a 3-game winning streak, and they also got the W in 7 out of their last 10. The San Francisco pitching staff leads the majors in fewest walks allowed per 9. The Giants are also giving up just 3.4 runs a game when they travel. They're taking on a Mets club who lost 8 out of their last 10 themselves. This New York lineup also scores fewer runs at home than any other team in the majors. Their opponents are holding them to under 7.1 hits a game at Citi Field as well. Now, they also have Taijuan Walker on the bump here tonight, who, despite some really good numbers this year, he still finds himself with a lackluster 7-8 record. When it comes to the scoring in this one, 7 out of New York's last 10 ball games stayed under the line. Meanwhile, the Giants also went 70% to the under in their last 10 themselves. Now, San Francisco's 3-1 to the under in their last 4 on the road as well. I'm going to lean toward the underdog San Francisco Giants plus $1 and the under 8.5. The next matchup, Rangers, Indians, 7:10 Eastern first pitch. The let's try that again. The Cleveland Indians are -$2, totals 9 flat. Zach Plesac for Cleveland, Jake Latz for Texas. Now, Latz is making his season debut with the Rangers. Texas is currently in last place in the AL West. They find themselves nearly 40 games below 500. Now, the Rangers are also, they have one of the worst road win percentages in all of baseball. Texas is currently playing .253 baseball when they travel. Now, they're taking on a Cleveland franchise who won 3 out of their last 4 ball games. And they also have a winning home record at Progressive Field. This Cleveland lineup is in the top 10 in fewest home strikeouts at the plate. Jose Ramirez is 7th in baseball in homers with 29 of them. The third baseman is also 17. He ranks 17th in the game with 79 RBI. The Indians also have Zach Plesac on the hill tonight. He's 7-4 with a 1.14 whip. Now, when it comes to the number in this one, 6 out of Cleveland's last 10 meetings with Texas did stay under the line. I'm going to lean toward the Cleveland Indians -1.5 and the under 9 runs. Next game, Reds, Brewers, 8:10 p.m. Eastern start time. The Milwaukee Brewers are -170, total 7.5. Brandon Woodruff for Milwaukee, Luis Castillo for Cincinnati. Castillo's just 7-12 on the year, 4.35 ERA, and a 1.40 whip. The righty has also walked a staggering 60 batters already. And speaking of walks, the Cincinnati pitching staff gives up more free passes than any other team in baseball. They're also walking over 4.1 batters a game when they travel. They're taking on a first-place Milwaukee club who's on a 3-game winning streak themselves. 7-2 straight up in their last 9. This Milwaukee lineup's in the top 5 in home offensive walks at the plate, and they're also in the top 10 in scoring on average per game. Avisail Garcia's hit 24 homers and knocked in 75. Meanwhile, Colton Wong is batting .290 with 23 doubles and 36 total extra base hits. And of course, Brandon Woodruff, he's taking the mound here tonight. He's got a .248 ERA and a .94 whip. The righty struck out 167 batters already. When it comes to the total in this one, 6 out of Milwaukee's last 10 outings with Cincinnati stayed under the line. The Brewers were also 17-9 to the under in their divisional games at home. Meanwhile, Cincinnati saw 6 out of their last 10 ball games stay under the total themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Milwaukee Brewers -$170 and the under 7.5. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into our next and final matchup. It is going to be Dodgers versus the Padres, 10:10 p.m. East. The LA Dodgers are -145, totals 8 flat. Walker Buehler for Los Angeles, Blake Snell for San Diego. Now, Snell comes into today's contest with a .482 ERA and a disgusting 1.52 whip. The lefties walked a ridiculous 65 batters already, and he's only got 106 innings of work under his belt. So pretty bad numbers out of Snell. San Diego's lost 8 out of their last 10 ball games, and they're in the bottom half of the league in home scoring. No real surprise here. San Diego's also in the bottom half in home hits. They're taking on a Dodger team who's 14-2 straight up in their last 16 ball games. They're also 17-9 straight up in their divisional road games. This LA pitching staff is leading the majors in striking batters out. Now they're also holding their opponents to only 6.5 hits a game when they travel. Walker Buehler's 13-2 thus far in this season, 2.11 ERA and a .93 WHIP. Now the righties also fanned 170 batters. When it comes to the total in this one, the Dodgers are 14-12 to the over against the NL West on the road. Meanwhile, San Diego's going 37-31 to the over in their contest at Petco Park. I'm going to lean toward the LA Dodgers minus 145 and the over 8 runs. And with that, guys, now it's time for our quick pick recap. Powered to you by my website at brockpage.com, where we are 7-0 in our last 7 Major League Baseball tier package picks on that website. I like Detroit plus $1.10, under 9.5. Houston minus 1.5, over 8 runs. Chicago Cubs plus $1.25, under 7 in Game 1 of the doubleheader. LA Angels minus 1.5, over 9.5. Tampa Bay plus $1.10, over 8.5. Pittsburgh plus $1.10, over 8.5. Toronto minus $1.20, over 8.5 runs. Boston minus 1.5, over 10.5. Washington plus $1, over 7.5 runs. San Francisco plus $1, under 8.5. Cleveland minus 1.5, under 9 runs. Milwaukee minus $1.70, under 7.5. Before I give you my next and final free pick for the video, one final reminder, I just said it. Guys, we are 7-0 in our last 7 Major League Baseball tier package picks on my website at brockpage.com. I'm going to lean toward the LA Dodgers minus 145 and the over 8 runs. And with that, guys, now it's time for our shout out of the day. And that goes to Investing to Crypto, who said yesterday, I missed the free picks from you, Sir Brock. I hope you go back to giving free tips for us. More power. Thanks. And, well, I'm glad you missed me. I'm sorry I was gone for a few days, but, you know, we got football season starting here this week, so I kind of took some time just to recharge the batteries one final time, because now that we have baseball and football starting, pretty soon we're going to have basketball, college basketball, NBA, NHL. It's all going to start happening really, really quick. Fall's right around the corner, and so I'm going to be running pretty hard here starting now all the way through June of 2022. So I just wanted to take a couple more days just to kind of decompress, relax, because like I just said, I'm going to be running real hard from now all the way through June of 2022 with a lot of free content, just with more sports beginning to start up. So anyway, I appreciate the concern. Thank you for the comment. With that, guys, that is going to do it for me. Now, don't forget to check me out on my website at brockpage.com. Now, if you guys do end up getting a package here today on that website, just keep in mind, you're going to get billed the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. So if you do end up getting a membership here today, you are going to get access to that content through the end of August. But then, you know, Patreon's going to ask you once again on the 1st of September to reload. So if you continue to opt in, you are going to get billed again on September 1st. I always tell folks the earlier in the month you sign up, the better. But most importantly, guys, gotta thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. I missed you guys. I really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. With that said, guys, happy Wednesday to you. Happy hump day to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at brockpage.com.